love and family, pain and regret, hopes and dreams. Each one of them had a story. If we never tell their stories, if we live our lives thinking that the only people who ever accomplished anything worth remembering are the ones we read about in the history books, then we send a message to our children, to that their actions can only be meaningful if they are widely observed, if they are conspicuous. Nothing could be further from the truth. Because the truth is that every student who was a part of the Freedom Summer, every citizen who marched on Washington, every single person in this country who stood up for justice in whatever way he could, they changed the world. We see this every day. Look around you at the diversity, the inclusivity of the society that we share. We are living, breathing proof of the power that these anonymous heroes have. Sometimes the hardest truths to see are the ones right in front of our eyes, things that are so common, so self-evident, that we have to come to take them for granted. Our day-to-day lives are shaped by the sum of countless inconspicuous acts. Acts of sacrifice from generations of anonymous heroes who came before us. Acts of love from our parents. Acts of kindness from random strangers. Behind every worthwhile human achievement, big or small, there is at least one small act of kindness. Maybe Picasso fell in love with painting when one day his father brought him a brush and some canvas and gave it to his young son to play with. It's possible that Gandhi would have simply pursued his career as a lawyer had a friend not loaned him a copy of Thoreau's Civil Disobedience. Or perhaps a few years ago there was a high school senior who was getting lost in a maze of college applications and didn't know what school was right for her, and seeing this young woman's distress, a teacher or a guidance counselor gave her a pamphlet from Miami University and told her that this might be a good fit. Today, she'll become a Miami graduate. Sometimes an inconspicuous act of kindness can make all the difference. One single act, one single action can cause ripples that are felt to the other side of the world. And this means that how you choose to live your life, the decisions you make, the causes you pursue, the stories you tell, these things will matter. Like most Americans, you will spend likely the better part of your waking lives from this point forward at work. For many of you, your career will be one of the main things that defines the short amount of time that you'll spend on this planet. Now, one problem with this is that most job descriptions are divorced of any human elements. Take, for instance, the job description of an accountant. One, she will go over the billing process. Two, she'll make sure that the checks are signed at a certain time of the month. And three, she will foreclose on any outstanding accounts. But there's something important missing from this description. Nowhere does it say that the accountant would be kind or empathetic or caring, that she would treat others as she would like others to treat herself. Nowhere does it say that the accountant will show compassion for the person whose house she is foreclosing, perhaps even giving them an extra day to come up with the money that they need to save their home. There's nothing wrong with letting our work play an essential role in our lives, but we can never allow our job descriptions to define the manner in which we live our lives. When you succeed, and more importantly, when you fail, you have to allow your moral strength, your understanding of what is right and good to be what defines and guides you. Because though your actions may seem inconspicuous, their consequences will be profound. A single bee, even a queen on its own, is powerless. At the most, it can inflict some mild discomfort. But when bees swarm, when they gather in great numbers around a single purpose, they can bring down an elephant. When people swarm, we can topple tyrants, change governments. We can achieve anything. It wasn't just Martin Luther King or Rosa Parks or Thurgood Marshall who ended segregation and who fought against this country's legacy of discrimination. That took millions of individuals, a swarm of freedom fighters, united around a common goal. Each took his own approach to the battle and fought for his own reasons, but they shared a single purpose. Any one of these individuals, even King, on his own, would have been ineffective. But together, they were able to achieve something remarkable. Together, they brought justice. That was the swarm that many of your counterparts 50 years ago were preparing to join. Now, our world has changed a lot since then. The battles that began during the civil rights movement have not been completely run, but it's impossible to deny the progress that we've made. Racism and discrimination still exist in our society, but hopefully we've been able to push it a little towards the fringes. And here you are, the class of 2014, on this day, together, as you become part of this proud Miami legacy, together in the stadium, where you can lift your voices in unison and be heard for miles. The story of humanity is one of constant evolution. What chapter will you write? What swarms will you join? What swarms will you create? And graduating from a school with such a rich tradition of social justice, you no doubt have a lot to live up to, but you're also entering the real world in an era where you are equally and unequally uniquely equipped to handle this challenge. Like no other generation in human history, you and your peers are enabled and empowered to communicate with each other, to unite around a common purpose, and to take action. The pace at which human beings continue to become more connected to each other is truly astonishing. Right now, I saw earlier a girl, she was holding her smartphone, taking pictures, taking videos. They'll be uploaded to Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Vine, Vimeo. And by the time I finish speaking, those images will have been seen by your relatives in Chicago, friends in California, even strangers in Europe and China, all over the world. Possibly 1 million people around the planet will have seen them before the sun sets today. You know, when television was first invented, many people dismissed it as a parlor trick. It was a fancy gadget that they could show off at parties, that they thought ultimately had no meaning or purpose. But today, TV is a billion-dollar industry that is consumed by 1 billion people worldwide. It's at least partially regulated by every government in the world, and it's completely censored by some. So technology is power, and the rate at which we're developing it and the extent to which we're incorporating it into our very biology means that each one of you is becoming more powerful every day. Each one of you has the power to reach people across the globe, the power to rally around the causes you believe in, the power to swarm, the power to change the world. Have you noticed that when you see a movie, when you go in a movie and you watch it with other people in the theater, sometimes the jokes seem a little funnier, the tension is just a little more palpable, the drama is a little more poignant. When other people laugh, when they gasp, when they cry, even when they cough, it tells you something about the film that you're watching. And when you aggregate that over the hundreds of people in the theater, they collectively expanded your intelligence by watching that film with you. They have taught you something about the human condition. Think what it would be like to watch a movie with 1 million people, with 5 million people, 50, 1 billion, more. Can you imagine how much our intelligences could be expanded if we could share our experiences with the collective consciousness of humanity? We are living in an age where technological advances are increasingly making such a level of connectivity possible. To be able to feed off the intelligence of the entire human race, that's no parlor trick, that is power. And now, can you imagine what would happen if you took that incredible power, the sum of all human knowledge and insight, and instead of just watching a movie together, we channeled it to solve our most pressing problems, challenges that may seem insurmountable right now, fighting global poverty, stemming climate change, ending war, curing cancer. There's a line from a play called Merrily We Go Along. It goes, "We are standing on the threshold of the future. We got to be the luckiest people who ever lived. Do you guys realize that now we're going to be able to do anything? Anything we dreamed of? What a time to be starting out. What a time to be alive. There is nothing, absolutely nothing, that you cannot do if you do it together. If you recognize the power that your connection to your fellow human beings can have, and if you amass a large enough swarm, there is no challenge that you, each one of you, cannot surmount. From this stadium, you can lift your voices in unison and sing a song that will be heard on the other side of the world. 50 years ago, the graduates of Miami joined the Mississippi churches with young people from around the country, and they sang, "We Shall Overcome." And together, their spirit helped free a nation. And What will your song be